Welcome to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go, a look at modern and retro games with a dark sense of humor. Introducing your hosts, Steve.
Well, I'm a wreck now.
Harry.
Put it in my mouth.
Clark.
That man had one testicle and hit home runs, goddammit.
And Joe.
This went off the rails very quickly.
Let's start the show.
All right, welcome to Mubbers. Ah, shit.
Shit.
Welcome back to another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast. Go! Yes. You may have heard one less go tonight. Mr. Clark is not joining us as he is still having technical difficulties. And we'll get that figured out soon, hopefully.
He missed his wall run.
Yeah, he did. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Crouched instead of jumped.
Yes.
You too? All right. Introducing to my left, Mr. Harry.
Survival is overrated. You need to live a little too.
I mean, it's not too far off there. And to his left, Joe.
We don't exactly fit in anywhere.
And I will be your host tonight, Steve. Don't chuck that pizza. I like the toppings matured. So, from the obscure wall run, crouch jump, and matured pizza toppings, we are discussing Mirror's Edge. I'm on the edge of a mirror, and I'm running up and down the walls.
Something is happening.
Yeah, I know. Something is. Don't look into it too much. Oh, but before we get... Oh, go ahead.
Why was our opening quotes not the hardcore parkour skit from The Office?
We lifted it from the actual game, but by missing the obvious of what it should have been. Hardcore parkour. It's very fitting. As a recurring listener should know by now, this week's episode is brought to you by Deep Creek Glassworks. Since 2013, Deep Creek Glassworks has been making handcrafted, durable works of art for everyone to enjoy. A little bit of everything. Do you want some glass stemware for some wine glasses? Maybe some ornaments? Maybe some pendants? Oh my! There's a whole lot of options. Tanner makes some beautiful looking stuff to maybe it's a little more simpler colors to a little more complex, some dichromatic, I believe, if I'm using that term properly. He'll let me know. He will let me know. So you definitely need to go check them out at their website, Deep Creek Glassworks, work spelled WORX.com. Check out their Etsy page, their Instagram. And for our listeners, if you use the promo code SUPERFUN, you will get 10% off of your first purchase. That's pretty awesome right there. Not to mention, anything you do order will arrive in crush-resistant boxes and free shipping. Because free shipping's just awesome. You don't have to even worry about it. It just comes to your, like, what did I pay? The price of the item, plus tax probably. But that's the government for you. So definitely go check out Deep Creek Glassworks, work spelled WORX.com. Etsy, Instagram, or just Google it. They'll pop up. They got stuff. Support local business, people. Small business. Family business. Because I'm helping them at a craft show this upcoming weekend, so I call it family business. Biznaz. All right. So yeah, Mirror's Edge. Here we go. Joe, why don't you give me your initial impressions?
Oh, man. So I'm going to start off with saying Clark and I were about as much into free running you can get without actually doing free running.
Look at me jump off this bench.
No, not even. We, in high school, we used to make fun of some people that do this thing called freestyle walking, and we would run and like jump on curbs on streets.
Oh my God.
And act like we were doing chicks be like, freestyle walking. It was the most ridiculous thing ever, but it was hilarious at the time because, you know, we were like 16 or whatever.
Kids are stupid. Hey, as long as you had fun.
And then, of course, you know, District 13 came out and we watched that movie like a bajillion times. And then basically right around the time I got home from Korea, this game was basically just announced. Clark and I both pre-ordered it. And I got like the digital. I don't think it was actually a digital deluxe edition. I think it was just like a bundle or whatever. Where I got the messenger bag.
Oh,
is in the game, the yellow messenger bag, as well as like the official strategy guide, because those were still a thing when this game came out.
wow, the yesteryears.
Yeah. And then I'll be honest with you, per my normal tradition of that time period, and having a modded Xbox, even though I bought this game, I had like 200 games. I played this game for probably 2 hours and never played it again.
That did happen quite a bit.
Yeah, I had way too many games and I never played any of them.
Whoops.
Yep.
Welcome to the podcast where we make you play the game to completion, whether you like it or not.
So here we are, 13 years later.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You did it.
I did.
What about you, Harry?
I never played this originally when it came out, but I did hear all the hype. This seems like one of these games that like popped up on the radar real hard for a short window of time and then just kind of disappeared. So I don't think there's many people who haven't heard of this game just for, like I said, that small window of time. I just feel like it was everywhere and a lot of people were talking about it and then it just kind of a blip. But I think during that time it was almost unavoidable. Like anybody that you knew that was slightly in the gaming community, just it was all about this game.
It was advertised fucking everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Having said that, like I never had a huge interest in getting into the game, but I wasn't like pushed away from it either. This is actually a perfect platform to actually play something like this.
Yeah.
Where I was like not invested that I would do it on my own time, but I'm not opposed to doing it when it came up for the podcast. So
dig it. That's a good spot
You're like,
to be in.
I don't hate this suggestion.
no.
Like, oh, right. Yeah, I'd do that. Very middle road Harry.
No, I will say though, I'm glad that I finally played this. I'm not saying it's a super important game, but I don't think this is a very generic game. I will say that.
Yeah, and for myself, again, with everybody else, definitely heard of it. Could not miss that. I may have played a little bit of this, like when it first came out, but I may have just been like for a little bit and then stopped, or maybe I saw like Clark play it or something. But then I remember years down the road, I'm like, oh, I do want to play this. I just had never went out and got the game really. So I was just kind of thinking about stuff to bring up for the podcast. I'm like, you know what? I think it's time. Let's put this out. I think it would be a fun one to do. So I was very much looking forward to playing, finally playing the game and going through. And glad I did. I think we all had to get around a couple technical difficulties on it. But we can get into that in other like the gameplay or graphics once we get there. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for me. So with that, let's go ahead and wall jump our way into some development.
Game development.
All right, so the game came out in 2008 for PS3 and 360. It was developed by DICE, which is also known for the Battlefield series, Star Wars Battlefront, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, which I didn't know that one, but I'm like, all right, I liked that game long ago. Published by EA, so it's another one under the EA umbrella. Take it or leave that as where it stands or lies in the dirt. So yeah, DICE, they wanted to make a first person game, but not necessarily a first person shooter. They wanted to look to do something different. So they went along with the action adventure platform game, basically, which I think was kind of a big get for the game at the time, because there really wasn't anything like that when it came out, and it just felt like something fresh, something new. Not to mention the artwork on it, that kind of, you can't not have that grab your attention. And then I think later on down the line, they made another one. I guess it's a sequel. I didn't look too much into it.
I've seen it on many pages called a sequel reboot, and I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you do that simultaneously.
I don't know. The only thing I really found was apparently it's like way in the future compared to like when this story took place, but that's
But
really
it's still Faith.
is it?
Yep.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
Doesn't
she
make
was-
sense.
I don't know. That's not why we're here tonight, though. But yeah. I mean, I really don't have too much else when it comes to like the actual development of it. Really.
I did see that it was made by Dice, which is a Swedish
Ooh.
company. So you know the game's going to be flashy, but not durable like IKEA furniture.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Can we boot them? Because I really like my Flurg table. Okay. It's such a beautiful piece of furniture, and it only took me 7.5 hours to put together.
The Billy bookcase, my man.
All about your fucking Billy bookcases.
Got my ball sack futon over here.
Does it say choking hazard on the side?
Oh, trust me, there's no small parts.
Wow. We're gonna run full speed and kick down this motherfucking door into the story.
Story.
There was like a lot of aggressive door kicking. I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
Taking place in the not-so-distant future, we follow Faith Connors, who is part of an underground network of couriers called Runners. After completing a job, she gets word of a murder that her police officer sister, Kate, is responding to. Turns out, Kate is being set up to take the fall, and that's where this becomes more personal. Upon meeting with some old friends and foes, she learns of Project Icarus, a program to help strengthen security forces, grasp on the city, and to eliminate the runners. Faith won't stand for this. Her runner mentor, Mercury, helps devise a plan to free Kate, which succeeds. After returning to Mercury's hideout, she finds it ransacked and Mercury basically on his deathbed. After tracking down Kate and her captor, she sends him to his death and rescues her sister once again. There's a whole lot little more intricate stuff, but to try to hit everything in a synopsis, that's not going to work out. But basically, the captor of Kate was also like an old runner from, who's been around for a bit, who kind of like turns coat and is like, all right, well, I'm going to start working for the other ones because they're going to pay me. I'm going to live comfortably. There's an assassin lady who's working along with it too. Murder, espionage, and all this other shit. It gets a little complicated, but it wasn't too difficult to follow. It was just more of kind of like, oh, here's this information. Here's a little bit more. It kind of ties back in together, but the names sound familiar. At least that's the way that I took it.
I'll be honest, my attention span to the story kind of trailed off towards the end. It kind of did. I honestly was trying to recall what the ending was, and I only beat it a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and I can't remember the ending. I think I kicked somebody out of a helicopter,
jackknife out of the helicopter, and then you and Kate jump out of it before it crashes and explodes. And then I think it was in the end credits, it basically alludes to that no one has heard of Kate or Faith, and their actions only made security measures worse rather than what they were trying to do to make them better, because she like destroyed their surveillance system and everything and just still kind of fucked it up even more.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So like you said, it was basically like that one person kind of, like you said, turned coat and was like, well, can't beat him, might as well join him. And then set Faith's sister up to, as the fall guy for the murders and stuff like that. It was, that was kind of interesting, but like Harry said, like towards the end of the story, I kind of like trailed off because there were like some moments where you could kind of see coming where you're like, oh, this is kind of bullshitty or whatever. But I kind of got disinterested with it a little bit, or maybe not disinterested, but it was kind of
it didn't really pull you in as much as I think they were really going for. I mean, up to a point. I mean, still, it's like, all right, I'm finding out what happens, and I'm like, wait, what happened before? Oh yeah, that's right, and that's why this is happening.
What I do think is very strong here when it comes to the story, I think, let's say like the world building, in a sense, there's certain aspects I like of it and certain I don't. Oh, hi. Say hi. The backstory cutscenes really had me intrigued. Like the whole like rioting and suppression of the masses kind of thing. Like that shit was kind of interesting and dark, but it didn't, that dark tone didn't really translate into the world building because it was very bright and vibrant.
Very bright.
You know what I mean? Like I think if they made it a more like gothic tone, it might have appealed a little bit more to me. Just because I think there's a lot of potential for a really dark world to be built here, and instead I feel like they kind of delivered a little bit of a fluffy story.
Kind of. I mean, I can take with that because they show the darkness from like the riots and the protesting.
Wasn't Faith's parents killed or something?
Their mother was, at least. So I think that kind of paints the dark picture, and that's underlying in this whole bright, vibrant landscape, because then it's like just giving off the impression of like, oh, everything's happy, everything's safe, everything's clean, when underneath there's still this dirty, shady shit going on. Like the one, like in the very beginning when Kate was set up, was because there was a guy running for office who was looking for deregulation and was fucking assassinated. And then you start trying to hunt down the person who assassinated him, and then they get assassinated. And then it just kind of keeps going. So it still shows there's this dirty, gritty underbelly beneath all of this sparkly, shiny brightness.
Yeah, and I think that those are the parts that were really good. Like, I like that intro where your sister is framed and you're on the run at that point. Like, that's really good. I think that's a really strong start. I just don't think they did the follow through properly on that. Would be my opinion. But no, kind of getting back to that tone thing, as you can see, I just thought they were two different games. Like, they didn't sync well. There's like this dark undertone game, and then there's this bubbly, I'm going to jump from rooftop to rooftop game.
Yeah, it was very weird how all the, I don't know if this is more gameplay graphics or whatever, but I think it kind of plays in. Like, all of those like cinematics that were like gritty and like had like the good tone to it were all mostly set at night as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And none of the gameplay was at night.
No.
Oh no, there was. The ship at the end was at night, where you're like running up to the ship. But it was, I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it. Because
again, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, because I was thinking like that level definitely, I'll cover it in gameplay. But yeah, there was very little like the nighttime tone, I think, of the story cinematics, I think helped a lot versus like the daytime cheeriness or whatever of the normal levels.
Yeah, that seemed odd too. So when you started a level, it would tell you like the time in the bottom left-hand corner. It'd be like, oh, this is like 10:30 a.m. or something like that. I think it would have been a cool idea if like this whole mystery was getting unsolved throughout a single day, and you start early in the morning and finish in the evening of that same day. I think that would have been kind of a cool concept as well, and like different light tones per level depending on what type or part of the day you were in. I don't know. It's just there more possibilities. I don't know. I feel like I'm playing the game of what this game could have been as opposed to what we were given.
The old Assassin's Creed, huh?
No, I like that take on it. That would have been pretty neat.
Not to say I hated my experience though. It's just, yeah, I don't know. As far as story goes, that might wrap up most of my thoughts though. I think I touched as much story as I need to. I'm not trying to rush anything. I'm just saying.
No, I agree. I don't think it's a very story-heavy game. I don't think that's where. That's not the reason you're playing this game in most scenarios.
I mean,
believe.
The story is just kind of there to move things along, but the main thing to really do is to parkour around the fucking city and maybe shoot a couple guns if you really want to. No, I actually think that that about sums it up. So let's go ahead and break some glass windows and jump right into some gameplay.
Gameplay.
I will say, after, like, it took a little bit to get used to some of the controls, like just kind of jumping in and then putting it down for a week and picking it back up again was hard to learn. It's like couldn't just jump right in.
Oh yeah, it'll take you 10-15 minutes to get used to
exactly.
it again.
I mean, like some of like the jumping and the twisting, like between like the R&B, the bumpers and triggers and whatnot,
like a 180 turns and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That was that took once I got it, I was pretty good. Wasn't too concerned. But up until that, I'm like, oh, here we go. We got baby deer legs. Gotta learn to walk again. Let's do this. And then run, and then jump, and then slide, and then wall run jump. Oh, fucking A. And there are definitely
accidentally pick up a gun and then accidentally drop it.
Yeah. It's like, whoop, nope, don't want, whoop, nope, got it again. Whoops. I mean, there are a few moves where it's like I had to like stand back and like look at what it wanted me to do. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? It's like that definitely took where it's like, oh, go ahead and run up the wall here, then quick 180, then jump over to grab up onto this rafter and then go, head this way, which in theory is really neat. It's fun. But there are some times when it was just fucking frustrating. It was a little rough. Like I think one of the first ones where I really started getting like in the beginning where I started getting frustrated was when you're going like up the construction pit where you have to jump from the girders onto like the little walkways and then to the pipes. And if you don't have it lined up exactly where it needs to be, I plummet to my death a good 20, 25 times. I'm trying to...
Is that the indoor one that you're talking about? Where you finally get up to a vent at the top?
Yeah, the only one.
Because I remember there's one where you pop out where it's almost like a construction work site just around like this giant pit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like a huge hole in the ground.
Yeah.
That you come up. And then when you finally get to the top, there's like fucking 40 guys around you or whatever.
Yep, exactly.
And there's like a crane moving or whatever that you have to jump on to get out at the last second.
That's exactly where I'm talking about. And then it's like the one part where it's like, because part of that when you're moving up the giant hole is you're going up the pipes, and then you have to look over at like the little walkway that's against the wall. And then if you're not like completely turned over or jump a certain way, or maybe I just really fucking sucked at it, I died so many times. And that was just the beginning of like some of the ones where I just started getting kind of frustrated. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I only had one spot that I had an issue with. It was at an indoor spot where it was like a bunch of scaffolding and stuff like that, where there was a lot of the 180 turns and wall running and things like that.
This one you had to go really high up, right?
Yeah.
That was the one that stands out in my head. It was a difficult section because I didn't know where to go next a lot of the times.
Yeah, it wasn't obvious. There was a lot of spots where it looked like there were multiple paths, and like I would work on one, and I'm like, that's not it. Like, because I'm like just far enough out where I'm like, can I make that, or is that intentionally just far enough out that like it looks like I'm supposed to go that way, but it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd like look around a little bit more and be like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, that way.
Yeah,
it could be a little rough, but it's what it is.
One of the few times you're like, oh, I need just a little bit more things that are red to tell me where to go.
Yes, it's like a little direction, please.
And that section wasn't bad, but there are certain sections of the game where the checkpoints are rough.
They're far apart.
Yeah.
That
one I think they expected you to die a lot on. So I think like almost time you got one elevation higher, they would
it was like every level there was a checkpoint. Yeah. They knew.
It's like, you made it here. Good job. Now figure it out, fucker. It's like shit.
But there was one section, I forget the checkpoint, but I know it started really close to an electrical fence. That the checkpoint was really far out. You had to do I think there was 10 kind of crazy jumps before you got to the next checkpoint finally.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I replayed that segment a lot to the point where I knew which way to run just to get there slightly quicker to cut off time in between deaths.
I've spent enough time on this. If I can cut out 0.03 milliseconds, it's worth my time.
I'm trialing the shit out of this checkpoint right now.
Yeah, really?
I saw my ghost playing.
No, but other than that, for some of the other gameplay, like I did like some of the chase like sequences where you just instead of because I didn't really stay and fight too often. Like it's like, all right, I'm a runner. I'm supposed to run, so I'll run. And just having to kind of try to quick think at, the last second. It's like, all right, where am I jumping? Where am I going? Oh, I died. Don't jump that way. So let's figure it out again. I thought that was like a fun, because there are a few of those definitely, and it's like, watch out, the blues are on you. Da, da, da. Yeah. So that was one where it's even in like the little tip screens where there's like, you don't always have to fight. Sometimes running is a better option. So they're basically telling you don't stand and fight
Yeah.
because if there's like too many guys around, you're fucking done.
Yeah, speaking of that, you know that one section of the game where like the 4 runners are coming after you? They're like these like clone fuckers or whatever, and they just start chasing you after you get through this like big iron gate or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to run there, but I got very irritated, and then I just spammed the dive kick and then dodge until all 4 of them were dead, and then I could just casually make it through that section.
You know what? Fuck this. You're supposed to live. You're gonna die now.
You had to kick them like it was like
Harry's
6 or
just
7
fucking
times
leg
each.
sweeping motherfuckers.
Yeah. Hup, hup. Stop doing the same move over and over. Hut, hut.
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean, I kind of briefly mentioned it earlier, but I know that's not the main focus of this game, but the shooting in this game is horrendous.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely horrendous. One, like, kind of again mentioned it, picking up guns is rough because, like, for me at least, it seemed like there was either a delay or like you triggered the animation, but it wasn't clear that the animation was starting by the time you picked up the weapon. Sometimes I would press it again and then she would just drop it. And in the middle of a fight, sometimes I would just be like, I got to take one out with a gun real quick just so I can actually handle the rest of these melee combat type of thing.
yeah.
And I would go down to reach it and then I would drop it and then die. And I would just be like, fuck.
Son of a bitch.
Like, I literally just needed to hold that for like 2 seconds so I could just mow this fucking dude out with a machine gun. Like, so frustrating.
Yeah, some of those mechanics weren't necessarily really the smoothest there.
No, aiming was very rough.
Yeah, I don't know if they should have even put a shooting element in the game.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't its focus. It was just like a quick add-in. It felt.
Yeah, it might have been like, oh well, if we're gonna have guys shooting at you, you should at least be able to shoot back at the guys, and that's where it's like, put this button on it. Okay.
I mean, what was cool though out of that was the disarming
The combat
animations that led to their death just automatically. That was a cool feature. She should have just like discarded the gun after doing something like that.
Yeah.
Gun's gone. You're dead. Done.
Yeah, because you didn't even have full movement when you were carrying the gun, even if it was like a pistol. You were still like encumbered by it, and I'm like, just get rid of it. Like, it was brutal. At the same time, like, I couldn't imagine trying to play this game to completion, even though there's an achievement for it, without using a gun. Like, some of the scenarios where like the sniper came in extremely handy to get through like some of the levels, and like I said, some arenas, for lack of a better term, just to take out 1 or 2 guys, just to kind of fend your way through the rest of the way without a gun was almost necessary.
Yeah, unless you really want to put yourself through some heartache and trials and tribulations and possibly a broken controller or 2, because that I just imagine that being so fucking frustrating trying to get through without firing a single bullet. It's like even after because I think you mentioned something like shortly after we all started playing about the achievement of not firing a single weapon. I'm like, well, I'm past that one already. Looks like I'll just stay on track with the way I am. Worked out better for me that way anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't achievement hunting on this game.
No.
There's certain games I can invest that time. This is not one of them.
Yeah. Did you guys try any of like the trial runs or anything on the trial run mode?
I didn't on this playthrough. I played it a bunch when I first got the game.
Gotcha.
Or I did not. Are they essentially make it from point A to point B as quick as possible?
Yeah, that's really all it is.
I mean, it's trials. I mean, did you do trials in Titanfall? Where they do like the time thing in Titanfall where you have to get to the end of the stages?
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah. It's similar.
Yeah, I mean, I checked out like a couple levels just to see. I'm like, well, it's trials, but just to kind of get a little experience with it. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Let's get back to the game. Now, something that we were alluding to, which is, I would say, affects gameplay, but is mostly graphics. Was it the RTX? Was it?
No,
Or
it was
no.
the game physics.
Game physics. So when there's the scene, and I think this is the worst one. I think this is where it really started affecting. I know Harry was saying it too. Was when you were trying to escape after the one candidate was assassinated, and all the environment is like breaking and crumbling around you, and you drop to like 3 frames per second. It was fucking rough. I'm like, this is bad. Like, this is I can't even play this. It's clipping so hard. And then I had to go online and find out a solution, which actually helped a lot more than it was. There was still some, but not nearly to the point where it was totally fucking unplayable.
Yeah, it was like anytime you broke a window or anything, it would just like I don't know what it was about, the engine or what it was, but it would just chug the game so hard.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think a lot of graphics cards are compatible with that feature of this game. Like even newer graphics cards, I just think it's an unused, I don't know, just an unused software, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Like maybe it was something about the engine they used, but at the same time, like it's Unreal Engine 3. Like it's the same thing like Bad Company was made on. Like I can't see it being like an engine issue. I don't know what it was. There's something's weird about this game where like you said, it doesn't matter what graphics card or processor you have. It's just gonna probably just a Windows thing, but just turn the physics off as soon as you launch the game.
Yeah, save yourself some frustration, a little bit at least.
Yeah, I was like, am I going to be able to beat this game?
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. Like my graphics card is $900, and I was like, "There's something going on here. Like something is not right."
Yeah, exactly. If that's not fucking running it, then what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I will say, at least I think to round out the gameplay, I know it's the main focal point is the parkour and the running and leaping over stuff. I had a lot of fun doing that. I mean, of course, that's the point for it, but some games you kind of get a little bit of like a taste of it, where this is pretty much like 85% of the game itself anyway. I just enjoyed being able to just kind of like run wherever for the most part, and they give you multiple paths where you can either like run up and launch yourself over top of the boxes, or run to the left and slide under the pipe. And so there wasn't always just one clear defined path to get to where you need to go, and I liked being able to have those options. I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, like once you got the hang of the game, the fluid motion and animation of like the gameplay was, you could tell where they spent their time. It felt good.
Yeah.
And with the non-standard controls, with the one button for basically lowering your body and one button for raising your body, basically, like I said, it was kind of hard to get used to, but it worked so good. Like they implemented it really well.
I messed around with the controls quite a bit when I first started this game. I was looking for like a custom way to set up my controller, and I did not have that. I think you could custom set up your keyboard, but I don't think there was an option. It was just like, here's 3 options for your controller. And
that's pretty standard through Steam. Almost no game does, because Steam has its own controller configurator built into the platform that you can use that automatically changes it for whatever game you're launching.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really common.
Well, this is a unique game, though. I probably would have set it up I don't know. I don't know how I would have set it up, but I wanted something a little different than what I had. It didn't feel right at first.
Oh, I get that.
I mean, I got used to it, obviously.
It's a very unnatural feeling.
Yeah.
It was. But yeah, no, it just, I don't know. It felt very unnatural for a while.
Yeah, I mean, other than joysticks, it's like, okay, what game is like this?
Yeah, really.
Basically none.
It's like usually this one is attack, but now it's crouch or slide. What is this one? Am I ducking?
As far as like the moves go through the environment, I liked most of them, like the wall running, the pipe swinging. I did not like the 180 jumps though, where you have to jump at one wall, flip your camera around, and then jump off of that onto another one.
Yeah.
That was always a pain in the ass. It was just like, you got to hit these 3 buttons, like perfect timing, or you're going to fall on your ass and see that whole animation where you're like,
where you turn around accidentally and you just like fall backwards.
It's like, fuck, my legs. You can't walk no more, Lieutenant Diane.
Did you guys use like the feature where you could like hold triangle or Y and she would look to your destination or next checkpoint?
Sometimes, yeah. If I started getting to the point of like, where the fuck am I going? And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm going up there. All right, how the fuck am I going to get up there?
Yeah, it's at least my style of gameplay. That's very standard. Like if there's a map-based option in the game, like triangle or something like that, it's like every 15 seconds, make sure I'm still heading the right direction.
Am I doing okay?
Yeah, there was some areas where I felt like the checkpoints were so close together that you could just hold it in and do the rest of your running, and she would just look at it the whole time.
Oh, you know what? Now that you mention that, I fell off buildings a lot when I click that because she runs in that completely wrong. Like she changes direction, moving
the direction she's looking.
Yeah, I ran off a lot of buildings because of that.
It's hilarious.
Damn, bitch, where you going?
What else?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that covers what I had in for gameplay.
I feel like I missed a lot of zip lines in the beginning, like because like sometimes I feel like you could be further away from the zip line before you actually triggered it and caught it.
Oh, gotcha. Not in like missing to using them, just actually missing the zip line itself and just plummeting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just falling right past it.
Yeah, I remember there was a couple of them, and then I after falling a couple times, I'm like, there has to be a sweet spot, and then found the sweet spot, and for the most part, it was okay. Not always, but it worked out sometimes. Yeah, there was a few of like the free running stuff where it took having to fuck it up a few times to really kind of get a feel for it. Like the timing of my roll when jumping off like a larger ledge, and instead of just like going right into the forward roll and just smacking the fuck out of my face, like wherever I was landing, and just her getting hurt.
Yeah, pulling your shin out.
Yeah, exactly. Pulling a Chris Weidman and it splits in two. I mean, it's a little harsh sometimes, but that's the way it goes. Harry, how was your motion sickness with this game?
I wasn't bad.
Oh, okay.
I managed okay.
There you go. I was
concerned. Yeah, that.
So when we were first playing, I'm like, oh, Harry's going to have a rough time with this, but you didn't really say anything about it.
Head bobbing. Yeah.
Nah, the VR, if they had a VR version of this, though, that would destroy me. Guaranteed.
I'm sure.
I think your issue with VR is just the PlayStation headset doesn't have a good refresh rate. Like the LCD panel's like pretty slow refresh, so it looks choppier and it causes way more motion sickness than like a better one.
Well, I think what causes the motion sickness for me though is the moving in game. So if you're moving forward in the game, but your body is motionless in real world, I think there's a disconnect with my brain.
Yeah, there is. Oh.
Like I feel like they make this moving like treadmill type thing that moves in 360.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like that would be the way to do VR.
Put it on your wedding registry.
It's like $3,000.
Harry, where the fuck are we going to put this? Don't worry about it. I'll find space.
I would not invest in something like that without even like trying it out first.
No, that's why you're not investing.
Well, that's why it's on your registry.
Exactly.
You don't have to pay anything.
Someone gets it for you. And I'm like, I'm fucking set. Got a $4,000 VR treadmill.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm gonna play Cubert so hard now.
Oh man. goddamn Qbert fucking VR.
Yeah,
Dope.
I know, right? Surround, look at this block.
That sense of falling is going to make it even worse.
Oh yeah.
my god. And you can actually fill in Qbert's blanks with the swearing when he screws up.
Yeah. Instead of it's not back. All right, this has to get made now. I'm gonna start crowdsourcing this. First,
why have we not done a Qbert game podcast?
Yeah. All right. Well, wait for your pick comes up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be an enthralling episode. Hey guys, get ready. We're playing Qbert. To my
It's a
left,
story.
Harry. Hashtag ampersand hashtag. Great quote, Harry.
Nice.
We'll saddle up, Joe, and clip on in because we're going to zip line on into graphics.
Graphics.
Oh shit, there he goes. The graphics were really nice. Everything was just so fucking bright. At least to me. And then I would turn down the brightness from when I'm outside so I'm not blinded, and then I get into certain areas and it just seemed kind of dark. That may have just been my settings, but between that and I did like the kind of shading and artwork they used in like the cutscenes and whatnot. Yeah, all around I wasn't disappointed, and then I also had to keep in mind this was like a game that was from 13 years ago, so can't really be too hard on it.
So my thoughts graphically, a couple things to point out. Number one, okay, so let's take the environment that we did get for this game. I think it makes sense that it wasn't super detailed. I think you would have spent more time looking at what can I jump on or climb or anything if it was too detailed of an environment. I think as simple as it is, it's easy to just go.
Makes sense.
So from a design perspective, I think it was a smart decision. Although I got to go back between the cutscenes and the actual gameplay, I just think there's a real disconnect between the graphics. I mean, the cutscenes are like almost anime, if I remember correctly, or like an anime style.
Yeah.
And a very dark tone, and then you get to the gameplay, and it's very bright for one, and just a whole different aesthetic from that art style. They're just very two contrasting art styles that it almost feels like they're not in sync. And it's like, here's a segment from this game, and then we're doing a segment from this completely different game, and it's like a bounce back and forth instead of like a meshing of the two. Now, I don't think either one is bad. I just don't think they feel linked.
Yeah, it's not really cohesive to each other.
No, that makes sense. I kind of agree with the disconnect, but if you look at them individually, like I really liked the way they did the story. Like you said, that it kind of reminded you of anime, and to me, immediately, I think is like Cowboy Bebop is like what comes to mind. Like the way the intro to Cowboy Bebop is like almost how all the story segments went. How everything was like real quick, kind of flashed around a little bit in a lot of cases, but it wasn't animated.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
I almost got like sense of like a subtle down Samurai Jack.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, going back to the actual gameplay, which again is, completely different art direction, I think. I still really, looking at it in a vacuum of the gameplay, I still really enjoyed the environment. I liked how, for one, even being 13 years ago, it still looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the environment details, I loved like the minimalistic coloring and shading that they did to kind of bring out the subtle details of everything, along with the red objects of your trigger objects to jump to or use or whatever. I really enjoyed that, actually. I mean, it was bright. I could see how it could hurt your eyes a little bit, but I still think it was cool.
I really don't have anything to complain about when it comes to like character models or whatnot. It seemed fitting for kind of like a sense they were going for. It wasn't like too janky or too unrealistic in the movements. I felt they did pretty well with that. Like when you're following other runners and kind of seeing them move and go around, you kind of felt the same sense of, even though I'm looking in first person, still the arm and leg movements of how Faith moved through and, kind of like transition from one spot to another. I felt that was done pretty well. A lot of the cops and whatnot, I think they were just made to look all the same for the most part, just because that's kind of the sense of the time they were giving. It's like, security forces, they're just faceless, nameless people who are just literally one entity that are trying to come after you.
Character models, the only like there was like you're a soldier, you're grunt or whatever you want to call them, right? And like everybody that had an MP5 was the exact same model. Everybody that had a machine gun was the same model.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it that way, as far as during the gameplay, you probably only came across 6 different character models in the entire game.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
So like they didn't have to do much work at all there. So like, in my opinion, they had to do them right and kind of make them look decent because there weren't many and they didn't have to put a lot of effort in.
No, the cops in the game, if I remember correctly, did they call them the Blues?
Yeah, a lot of the times, yeah.
So I forgot to mention on this in story, but it's a very small thing and it's very subtle. Like they could have easily just called them police or cops or whatever, but I just feel like calling them like the Blues, it gives this game a little bit more character. It's building this. I know, again, it's very, very small, minute detail, but I think it's giving it a unique character in this world building that they were trying to strive for. That's just like,
well, they weren't really cops. They were private organizations like security group that were after them.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
who happened to wear blue?
Did they though?
Yeah, I think some of them.
I think they were mostly gray.
Yeah, could have been like a dark blue. Like a
they were
blue,
pretty
grayish.
much one color.
Yeah.
And then, obviously the physics thing, circling back, that was kind of a gameplay graphics thing.
Yeah. I'm just glad there was a fix for it, because otherwise it just would have had to kind of throw it in the air and say, fuck this. We need to find something different.
We need to find a different game, yeah.
And there's only so many different games that will suffer through just for the sake of being a bad game, but being unplayable is a completely different story in itself.
Yes, seriously.
All right. So I think that about sums it up for the graphics. So we're going to find ourselves from one rooftop onto the other to get a little deeper into audio.
Audio.
I think the biggest thing I want to drill home with the audio is that crunching noise when you fall off a building.
And you don't roll.
Oh no, I meant like when you get that crunch death.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it's such an unsettling sound.
Nailed it.
It still haunts me.
Harry hears it in his dreams, and then he just wakes up. My legs.
Yeah, my legs.
It's just like the guy from SpongeBob. My leg.
They should have threw one or two of them in there. That would have been good. Yeah, at least like if it comes to like music and whatnot, nothing really like stands out still in my mind. I mean, I think it was just kind of there and in the background. I mean, that's really pretty much about it. I mean, I don't really have too much to say on this subject.
Yeah, the only song that really comes to mind is it's called "Still Alive." It's the main theme basically that plays during the game menu and then the closing credits. Outside of that, yeah, the music is pretty forgettable. I couldn't even tell you if there was music the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Too busy like listening to myself hyperventilate running down the rooftops or whatever and stomping on everything or banging into walls.
Yeah.
To be fair, getting into sound or audio, I mean, those sounds were good though too. At the same time, like all the
sound effects.
Yeah, the environmental sound like was a huge part of this game, I think, and I think they did a good job with that.
Like if you're running through a building or down a hallway, you actually got the echo of it, of kind of feeling like you're in that environment, compared to if you're running on a rooftop, it's more just
Yeah.
the pitter patter of the footsteps going.
Yeah, like whether you're running on a rooftop or a hallway or the street, or landing on one of those giant tarps on the roof that would brace your fall, like all of those little subtle differences between all of the surfaces that you would run on, like they paid attention to all that stuff and did a good job with it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Most deaf.
I don't really have any thoughts in the audio category. Just that falling off the building sound. That's what stuck with me. Everything else I don't remember.
No, that's your takeaway from any sound, music, or anything else was crunch.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, it makes you feel better, though. That really stood out to me, though.
yeah.
Came across it a lot, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that works. Let's go
Actually,
ahead.
sorry, we didn't really talk about the dialogue.
No, we did not.
Oh no.
We should probably mention that. I don't know if it was. I'll give it an average. I don't know if anybody's dialogue readings were very. I don't know. None of them blew me away. I'll say that, or none of them stood out.
They did the job.
Yeah, they did the job okay. It wasn't like it was bad, for the most part. I'll say that, but it's not like anyone's winning a fucking Oscar for it. Can't have Nicolas Cage in all the games.
God, is Nicolas Cage in a game?
I don't know. He should
Have they
be.
ever gotten him to VO anything?
I don't know. It's a national treasure. Yeah, I don't.
Face
I don't
off.
know. Face off. I don't know. That's something we should look up, and if not, let's launch a Kickstarter. Get Nicolas Cage in a game.
Yo, that would be dope. And like a stupid ass game too.
Hubert, the imagination. Oh God!
Like, what if they just announced going forward, Crash Bandicoot's voice is going to be performed by Nicolas Cage?
I wouldn't even be mad. It's just him making a bunch of sounds, kind of like when South Park got George Clooney to voice Sparky the dog. All he did was bark. It's George Clooney, but that was it.
I don't think George Clooney is a great actor. I'm just going to put that out there. Don't like the guy.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Mr. Clooney, I want to say that Harry does not speak for the entire podcast. So please keep listening. I got a very nice DM from him the other week. He's a big fan. So good job, Harry. Way to isolate Mr. Clooney out of the rest of this.
Yeah, he just seems like he's too good for anybody. Don't you just get that vibe whenever you see him?
Wow.
It's like, I'm above this.
Wow.
This movie, not paid enough.
All right. Well, looks like we found a topic for the next Mubbers. Why does Harry hate George Clooney?
Yeah.
It all started with Three Kings. He's like, Ice Cube should have been the main star instead of that fucking George Clooney. God damn it.
That's the movie you went with?
I don't know. What is he in, like Oceans 420, 69?
Oh, brother, where art thou?
Oh, there's that one too.
That's a trash movie.
Uh-oh. Oh. Joe's going to fucking fight you.
Let's get into final thoughts.
All right. Well, on that note, let's ball up Joe's fury for Harry and get into final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
I'll start. I wasn't sad playing this game. I did have fun with it. I would say it's about what I expected. I wasn't expecting to be completely blown away by the story, but I did have a lot of fun with the gameplay. Just like any good platformer, you get angry at it sometimes, you get frustrated, and I feel like if I were not to in some sort of platformer game, then it wasn't hard enough. So yeah, I was happy that I threw this out for a suggestion. Harry, what you got?
I think this is kind of an iconic game. I don't think there's anything else in this genre. Yeah, I can't think of anything that would even come close besides some of the features of like Titanfall. But this came before that. So like this is kind of it. I don't know. It just kind of stands out. I think this is kind of like a piece of my memory that just kind of stands out on the timeline a little bit. I don't think you'll see much more like this to come. I think this is kind of like a one and done. I don't think there's a huge following for something like this, but just knowing the game exists, I think will make a lot of people very happy. Outside of that, though, I don't think it's a game I'm going to truly remember for the story. I think it's just something for some of the gameplay aspects. Is that I think that's all that I'll remember from this.
Alrighty. Mr. Joe.
So kind of like what Steve said, this is pretty much what I was expecting out of the game. The story, I knew going into it that I was not playing it for the story. Like, I don't think anybody really goes into this playing for the story. I think you go into this expecting to play a game that you've never played before in pretty much any way, shape, or form. The gameplay of this game, I found, it's a platformer game, but the way the gameplay evolves, not really in the game, but with yourself, is very rewarding. The game really does reward the timing and the smooth actions and things of that nature. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Well said. All right, boys, let's band together, drop kick that son of a bitch out of a helicopter, and give him the score.
The score.
With the 5-finger sit to the face. Slap. Let's start off here. Harry, score me.
Oh man, I think I'm going to get a lot of shit on this one.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to give it a 5.5. Slightly above average, right? But I'm going to tie it with
Oh no.
Just pick a different 5.5.
Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Oh, I completely forgot you rated that so low.
And Red Dead Redemption.
Oh. Yep. All right. Joe.
All right.
It's more fun because Harry's
Then a pillow fight.
It looks like you're ready to sock and bop the fuck out of him. Because from my screen, when you're looking right on my screen, right at Harry, and the look of contempt you had for him, it was perfect.
So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give this game. It's tough. It is tough. I'm gonna give it 79.
All right, I'm gonna have to go with a B- on this one. I think if the story was a bit better, we probably could have gotten to a higher B. It will be what it be. Minus. It's B-. There we go.
Yeah, that's Steve's MO. Really confuse you with his letter grade.
You're welcome.
Always.
That's what I'm here for. So yeah, with that, thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode of Mirror's Edge. Stay tuned because the next episode will be a very special Mubber's remembrance of a fun
Our
time.
fallen.
Yeah, so it'll be a fun little subject to get into a little trip that we all went on. It's good times. All right. So with
Hey,
that,
Steve.
Hey,
What's on Charlie Sheen's Mirror's Edge?
cocaine
Absolutely.
and tiger's blood. And AIDS.
Fucking warlock.
That fucking tiger's blood. Where's the horse? Oh man, he's having a great career. What's he been up to? Exactly.
Hanging out with Nick Cage doing games.
Oh God. Charlie and Nick's Angels Adventures. I don't know, man. It's Charlie Sheen loves blowing hookers. Nicolas Cage likes going to the opera and crying. I don't really know how close they're getting together there. I sat in an opera for 4 hours. I just cried. Just cried the whole time. It's like, oh, all right there, bud.
Did he say that?
Yes. Yes. I forget what interview I was listening to him, but he was talking about where he went to a 4-hour opera and he just wept like the entire time because it was so beautiful to him. I'm like, all right, on that note, I'm going to go watch Gone in 60 Seconds. I'll be back. All right. Well, with that, we hope to see all of you in 2 weeks' time. And as always, love you guys.
Stay sexy.
Stay safe.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on social media and all streaming platforms at Superfun Podcast for more episodes. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend about us and consider becoming a Patreon member for more exclusive content.